Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us in this session. And this session we have started, it is called Taxperience. So why we are calling it Taxperience and what exactly we'll be learning in these webinars and what kind of things we'll be sharing in this webinar is we will try our best to add value. It will not be just bookish knowledge, but the presenters we have, the experienced professionals which we'll be bringing to these webinars, will be sharing with their experiences, because most of us, we know this is the time when we have to focus more on corporate tax. We have to learn a lot of things. There are a few things which are not yet explicitly explained, or we don't have any kind of clarification, like how we have to deal with some certain situations. So let me just introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Kareem, and I'm the managing partner of BSA, Badr Saleh Auditing. We have been running this company. This company was actually formed in 2006, and me, along with my team, we have Sabah, we have Talha. So all of these people, we have been managing this company since 2020. We are providing different kind of services which you can expect from any auditing firm, any typical auditing firm. So our presence is within GCC, and apart from that, we are also present in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and UK as well. So Taxperience is not just about tax bookish knowledge, but with experience of the speakers. They'll be telling you like how and what they have seen in their experience, or in the fields with they have been working. So how they have taken or how they have dealt with particular situations when it comes to tax treatments. So that is the thing which we want to share within these webinar series, and I hope that this will be adding value in your profession, in your career, and you can use these experiences and these advices in your companies, in your professions, and in your jobs. So without further ado, or maybe we will take another 2 more minutes so we can see, we can have more participants. Thank you so much. We are around close to 50 participants, and I'm sure this is something, this topic itself is something which is of everybody's interest. Everybody wants to know, and because it's new also within UAE. So there are a lot of things which are not yet clear. So we want to get answers how to deal in a particular situation. Most of the times, free zone companies, they don't really know what kind of situations or what kind of treatments they have to follow. Groups, international groups, local groups, they need to know what exactly they have to do and how they can use these treatments. And secondly, I say it's not just about corporate tax registration, but it's about corporate tax planning, how you can plan better and you can optimize using the right tax treatments. So this is the way that how you can be of more value to your companies as well, and definitely you can get more knowledge if you are getting from an experience point of view that how to deal with a particular situation. Later on, we have our speaker, and in the end of the session, if you have any kind of questions, please write down those questions and we will have some time. So our speaker will be responding to most of those queries, most of those questions, and I will hope that your doubts and your concerns will be clarified. If not, then you can connect with the speaker or with us through our contact details, and definitely we'll be getting back to you with the responses. So I think we have crossed over 50 participants threshold. Thank you so much, everybody, once again for joining us, and I hope that this session will be useful for everybody. So let me introduce our speaker. We have with us Sabah Iqbal. So Sabah Iqbal is part of BSA, and she's taking care of our corporate tax, and she'll be explaining how the tax treatment, how the corporate tax has implications within UAE, and how to deal with all of those situations. So first of all, thank you so much, Sabah, for this wonderful session, and hopefully we'll be organizing these sessions on weekly basis, same day and same time. So that was it from my side. Thank you so much, and over to you, Sabah.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the session, and thank you all for joining. It's a good number, so I'm very happy about it. Thank you so much for that. As Kalim mentioned, my name is Sabah. My father's name is Iqbal, so I'm Sabah Wahaj now. I work in Alec Group, and I support Badr Saleh now. I have a mix of experience between many jurisdictions, majorly in UAE and KSA, and I have a 10 years plus experience in tax now. And I work in UAE since VAT was implemented here. I'll take you through the type of, further about what Taxperience is. We're going to have a multiple number of sessions about this webinar series, and we will be meeting every Thursday at 3 p.m. This is a broad discussion level topic list which I could accumulate as of today. I'm going to learn with you as we will go ahead with this, with these sessions, and this list might get amended. I'll be very happy if you reach out to me and you tell me, Sabah, we want to add this up or that up. It might be underlying in here, or it might be an addition to my list. I'll be very happy to take that. The intention for us to have these sessions is to share the knowledge and to take any questions you have from industry perspective. I'm coming from the industry, and I know that sometimes the advisors can tell you a few things, but when it comes to the practicality, you really want to talk to people and to make sure that what you're practically need to do is in line with what the industry is doing, and is it what the advisor is actually trying to say or not. So this is our intention to run this webinar session, and we will try to make sure that we share as much knowledge and we cater as much practicalities which you could be facing in your day-to-day work life. I also want to mention how the sequence I'm going to take it further down the line with more as we go ahead with more sessions. We will be having 45-minute session each, and we will start from an informal discussion. I'll be happy to have you all unmuted for the first 5 minutes, and I can listen to you. We will be discussing the topics every time for 30 minutes, and we can have 10 minutes for question and answers, if any. All the sessions will be recorded and uploaded on Badr Saleh website, LinkedIn and YouTube page, and the link is in this presentation, and I will try to share the presentations with you guys also. I'm still not on the index for today's discussion, but this is a broad level list of development in the law, or I would say in the scope of UAE corporate tax, and it goes until 3 slides. So this is where we started from. We had the law in 2022. We had an amendment in the law in 2023. We have 20 plus ministerial decisions as of today. We have so many cabinet decisions. We saw down the line in 2023, mid of the year, FTA started giving decisions on its own. Like now they have also started issuing decisions, and we have multiple FTA decisions. One came two days ago midnight, and it's been discussed even until today, and people have opened their corporate tax registration applications already because of that. Then we have several guides and manuals which are issued by either Ministry of Finance or Federal Tax Authority, and some user manuals which FTA has published eventually over the period of time. Now, in these sessions, I will try to make sure that I cover most of it. And these green checks, which you will see eventually through the whole series when we come to an end, I hope, but I'm learning with you. I have developed a plan, but not everything is 100% for now. So we will go through each and every series, and I'm gonna be picking mark each and every of the cabinet decision or the FTA decision, which we're gonna be keep studying in each and every episode. I will try to cover the guide as much as I can, which impacts the decision making, but taking through each and every guide in detail won't be possible. So I'll be happy if you guys read the guide, because there are so many confusing elements when it comes to the guides, because it's too much into the details and it becomes confusing sometimes. I will be happy to have a discussion apart from having the discussions we have in the series. You can always approach me for that. Coming to today's session itself, so these are the topics I want to discuss for today. I know the people who have joined me today, many of them are very senior, and this discussion which we're going to have today is very basic for them. But considering the kind of audience and the different types of audience we are having, I'll keep it from the base, and we're going to touch the roots, and then we're going to go up eventually series by series. And I promise you it's going to get interesting and it's going to get complicated. So we're going to look at the regulatory documents and other things down the line. This is the regulatory documentation which we have as of today. We have Federal Decree Law number 47, number 60. We have several decisions from FTA. We have FAQs from Ministry of Finance. It's an overview of what you have as of today. And the list is with you already from previous slides. So that is a very comprehensive list updated as of today, literally. Ministerial decisions and cabinet decisions, many explanatory guides and user manuals. And then we have a very important thing which is called Imara Tax Portal. Yeah. So you guys would be familiar with it because we do VAT filings. You would be doing the VAT filings already. But corporate tax registration and using the portal for corporate tax is in itself a new study for everybody. So that is another aspect of the UAE corporate tax, which is not a theoretical aspect, but it's a practical aspect, and which we all have to face eventually when we do the return filings and disclosures and local and master files. This is the timeline from my perspective, and this is how it looks to me. So the public consultation for the UAE corporate tax law came in April 2022, where we got to know that, yeah, this is coming. We were not sure when is it gonna come, but we knew that this is coming, and it took like more than a year for FTA, and then the law was actually issued, which in October 2022, and then it was officially published on the 10th of October 2022. The law is effective 15 days after the publication, which was under the line, the gray box, 26th of October 2022. And that's where we saw the law on its, I mean, it was slightly different from the public consultation. Few things were in addition to the public consultation, which we were expecting, and few things which were there in the public consultation, we didn't see them right in there in the first publication of the law. Then came the first explanatory guide from the Ministry of Finance. It's worth mentioning it here. I haven't mentioned all the guides which have come across, but it was the very first guide which came about the corporate tax law. It was issued on the May 2023. The law itself comes into force from June 2023, and we will see why and how. Eventually in today's session, literally, but it applies to any company from June or later on. And then FTA also opened their registration portal. In May 2023, there was an announcement that the portal is now open for registration for public and private companies which are registered or locally residing in the UAE. I know that we have not seen multiple announcements from the FTA when and how it opened for natural person or it opened for foreign companies, but now it's open for most of the type of taxable persons, except we are still facing issues in registering few very different kind of companies. But for most of the companies which anybody would be working in within the UAE, the registration portal is now open, and now we also have an announcement through the federal decision, FTA decision number 3, about the timelines of the registration. So since 2023, many companies have already registered for corporate tax. They have even concluded about having the tax group, what needs to be done and how needs to be done. But then there are still small and medium enterprises, or there are still finance people in those big companies who are not fully aware about the law, or who are not fully aware about each and every regulatory part. So this is the purpose of these webinars, to make sure that you get to know what you need to know. So you can talk better with your auditors, you can talk better with your tax manager if you are a finance manager, or you can do a better internal audit if you are an internal auditor, or you can take better decisions if you are a CFO. Eventually, we saw, if I go back on the timeline, eventually by the end of 2023, we saw an amendment to the law number 47 through federal decree law number 60, and where the law or the government has shown the intention to increase the tax rate from 9% to up to 15%, adding up a top-up tax, which is applicable for companies who comes under the ambit of Pillar 2, having a certain threshold. We don't have a domestic legislation about it yet, as in a UAE legislation. but it still applies for many companies who have presence in more than UAE. So that's where you see a very light gray line above 2024, and where I say that your net profit could be subject to 15% rate. So it's a very subjective. We will be eventually discussing pillar 2 and the basics about it, but you could be a multinational and your net profit even within UAE could be subject to 15% tax rate, up to 15% tax rate if you comes under to those conditions. Other than that, you would be subject to 9% of net profit as per the top arrow from maybe from June or onwards, and later on it goes forward and you never know what's going to come next. What we expect in 2024, as we are already standing over here, we are expecting a Pillar 2 legislation to be issued by UAE, maybe before there will be a public consultation, and then a domestic legislation might come in, which might add up the tax rate up to 15% for a certain kind of multinational companies. And we are also expecting the government to announce the TP disclosures down the line within this year, so we can have more clarity about what we would need in terms of documentation and filing for the TP disclosures. Eventually in 2025, from February onwards, the company start filing the corporate tax returns, and it will have a period of 9 months from the closing of your financial year, or I would say tax period. Down the line, as I have reiterated before, during this period, we have seen many ministerial cabinet decisions, FTA decisions, and guides, and this is how the whole timeline of UAE corporate tax looks to me, and I guess to you as well now. Coming to the tax rate, so I'll just slightly go back to the index which I have made for today. Considering the timeline we have, and we have to finish by 3:45 together with taking the questions from you guys. We will be discussing the corporate tax rates, the tax base, the applicability of the law on any of your companies or any of the natural persons or your clients, and we will try to cover FTA decision number 3 today, if possible. So coming back to the so when you look at or decide about what tax rate would apply to your company, to your group, or to yourself, if you are a natural person, you have to look at the table on the right on what taxable person you could be. Now, I know in your head you could be thinking that there is so much more about a taxable person here. Why has Sabah not covered that up? It could be a resident, it could be a non-resident, but I'll say again that to you, that when you decide about the rate of tax, you're gonna see yourself within this flow chart. So you need to decide what kind of person are you? Are you a taxable person? Are you an exempt person, or are you an out of scope person? Exempt person is easy to define for me here at this point. We will be discussing, it goes without saying that we will be discussing each and every topic later on in different episodes. But to cover the tax rate subject, you have to decide, are you an exempt person, or are you automatically exempt, or are you exempt through an application? If not, you are a taxable person. Now, you could be a mainland person, or you could be a free zone person. When it comes to the taxable person, the first part of the flow chart, then you see the tables on the left, and you see what is your number of taxable income. So taxable income, in a very simplistic way, it's your net profit. Considering some adjustments, we will eventually see how we calculate taxable income. But if I assume your taxable income is your net profit, so simplistic way to just foresee for you today, are you exceeding 375,000 or not profit or not? If not, you are probably not paying any tax, and you would be having a 0% rate of tax for UAE corporate tax perspective. If you are exceeding 375,000, then anything above 375,000 will be subject to 9% of rate of tax. If you are a multinational, as I said about the federal decree number 60 of 2023. The law has shown an intention that the rate's gonna go higher up to 15%, but further decision needs to come to so we can decode further that on which type of companies, what threshold it will apply to. But this is from the UAE tax perspective. There could be pillar two implications on your group, on your company, being a multinational, meeting a certain threshold, having presence in another country, but it's not being discussed here. So this is from the UAE corporate tax law perspective. Now, if you are within this taxable income, taxable person perspective, you could be a free zone person. And when it comes to free zone person, you have to identify, are you a qualifying free zone person, which is called QFZP in a tax language? And if you are a QFZP, are you having a qualifying income? So now the law has defined who can be a qualifying free zone person and what kind of income a qualifying free zone person can have to make it a qualifying income. If you fall under that and you doesn't break the de minimis threshold, your of tax could be 0%. And for your non-qualifying income of the same qualifying free zone person, you would be paying straight 9% rate of tax to the non-qualifying part of your income. It will not be subject to the threshold of AD 375,000. Coming to the tax base, after if imagine if you're looking at today on your group perspective or your company perspective or your natural person's perspective, that what rate applies to you, you can decide on this flowchart basis that what rate you're gonna be applying, and then you can come to the tax base that what amount I will have to apply the tax rate to. So what tax rate, what you gonna multiply your tax rate to. So that is your tax base. So your net profit could be 100,000, but you might not be taxed on your net profit. It could be different than your exact net profit. So the basic difference between why the tax base is important for anybody calculating corporate tax or income tax for return filing time, for example. So the biggest distinguishing factor here is that are you a resident person or you are not resident person? Your tax base can differ accordingly. So we will go through the details and then it will give you a better idea that why tax base is important and what is a tax base. So if you are a legal person or if you are working in a company which is a legal person, it is incorporated in the UAE, including free zone. So when I come to tax base, I forget I am a mainland company or I am a free zone company. I just have to decide, am I a legal person incorporated within UAE or not? And mostly free zone companies are corporate companies. They cannot be a natural person. They need to have a license and a company registered in the free zone. So free zone plus any other juridical person which exists in the UAE will be subject to tax on their worldwide income. So let's say you could be earning income from within UAE business and from outside of the UAE business without having a subsidiary, without having a separate legal person outside. So you could have like a buying, selling, export of service or export of goods. So you're selling outside, but your base, your company is here. So you have a income distinguished between something you sold in the UAE and something you sold outside UAE. But your worldwide income, wherever you are selling your items though, but because you are a legally registered company in the UAE, your worldwide income will be taxed. It is similar to if you have faced income tax in your home countries, that whenever you are working in and you're resident in your home country, even though you remotely work for a company outside your country, you will still be subject to tax. Other than US I'm talking about. So you will be still be paying tax in your home country in spite of the fact that you're working remotely for another country or which is not your home country. So your worldwide income will be taxed if you are a legal person incorporated within UAE, including a free zone. Also, if you are a foreign legal company, which is like a shelf company and your control and management is actually in the UAE. So for example, if I have a BVI company and is a shelf company, nobody sits there. I am just controlling it through another company, which is actually in the UAE. The CEO sits in the UAE, the staff sits in the UAE. So the law assumes that because your substance is in the UAE, you are as good as any other legal company which is literally registered within UAE. So that is the reason many of the companies now are re-domiciling themselves as well, and they are thinking of taking the benefits of UAE corporate tax law instead of being applied for a worldwide income within the POEM. They are re-domiciling so they can take a benefit of free zone maybe. Then it comes to natural persons, and natural persons go without saying that wherever you are, wherever which country you are, but if you have a income which you're earning through UAE state. So whenever I will be using the word state, this will be in respect of UAE. So income derived from the state or from outside the state, but it's related to the business or business activity of the natural person which is in the state. Same like if you were a legal person, if you are selling outside some goods, if you are a natural person and you have a business or a company registered in UAE and you are selling your services, you're implementing an ERP system, you are developing a software for somebody outside the state, but because it's through a company or a business conducted in the state, in the UAE, you will be subject to your all the income which you will be earning. Then the partnership is a pass-through tax for corporate tax perspective, other than if you opt to make it a taxable person. So it will be only your share of partnership will be subject to tax for you as a partner. So you will pass through only the percentage of shareholding you have or beneficial shareholding you have in the partnership. It comes with a lot of conditions, which we're going to discuss eventually. Non-resident can be subject to tax in the UAE if you have a presence in the UAE, if you're earning something in the UAE. That's like the simplistic answer to if somebody asks me this question. When it comes to a permanent establishment, if you are a company outside UAE but you have a permanent establishment in the UAE, let's say for a construction company, you developed a site, or you are present in the UAE for more than 183 days, then otherwise you are driving something as a state sourced income within the UAE, or you have a nexus in the UAE. So non-resident, point 123, we will be discussing it further in details, but if you are earning anything from the UAE land, it will be subject to tax. But yeah, in that case, if you are a non-resident, you are not here, and you will be only taxed for that something which you are earning from the UAE. For the branch, the law says that if you have a branch of a resident company, it will be treated as same as the resident company itself. So you don't have to distinguish about the branch's number and the main company's number when you file the corporate tax return. But yeah, when you will go for registration, it will ask you for the branch details. So you will have to just provide them the branch details. Now, the next slide is about Cabinet Decision 49. I've put it for any of you who would want to go in further detail about it, but it is about natural person and how the Cabinet Decision has defined further about the natural persons. The main element here is that if you are a natural person and you are having a business or a business activity, now you might be thinking, what is a business or business activity? So anything which is commercial. And on the right side, if you will see, I have defined the definitions given in the law. So anything which you are doing commercially and which might require a license is a business or a business activity. Now, if you are earning a total turnover of 81 million, then you're gonna be subject, might be subject to tax. If you are doing a business or a business activity and your turnover is less than 1 million. So here I'm talking about the turnover and net, not net profit. So if your turnover could be very high and your net profit could be very low, or you could still be making loss. So if your turnover is above 1 million, then you have to even think about registering for corporate tax or thinking about that, do I have to even pay some taxes? But if you are below the threshold, you don't have to worry. And the law even says that if you are not under this, you don't even have to register for it. Um, other than that, The law also, so the cabinet decision also defines that if you're earning a wage, like most of us, if you have a personal investment, or if you are doing a real estate investment just for yourself. So sometimes a real estate investment you could be doing for somebody else, like you could create a fund and you could be doing for multiple people, and that might require a license, and that's separate to the exception which is given in the law here. So if you have a wage personal investment or a personal real estate investment income for your own self, you buy a property and you sell a property, and that's your own real estate investment, then you are out of the corporate tax at all. So this is given to not burden people like you and me when they are doing something for their own selves. But yeah, when they make it a business or they start doing it for other people, and which requires a license, then they have to look at the 1 million threshold for the turnover. And if they exceed it, then they have to think about registering, and if they have to file corporate tax or not. And when it comes to turnover, the law says that you have to see the Gregorian calendar for the 12 months. And if you expect or you think you might exceed or you have exceeded the turnover, then the law has given guidelines about when you need to register for corporate tax. This is further in addition to which came in the guide. I won't go in a lot of detail, but you can always read the guide and come back to me. But the very important takeaway point here is that you can be a non-resident natural person and you could still be paying corporate tax in the UAE for the business or the business activity you could be conducting in the UAE. It could be subject to the double tax agreement, and you can look at it in the detail with the consultant, but this is the starting point for you. Coming to the tax period, that what could be your tax period or your company's tax period. Why Sabha said in the timeline that, it starts from June, but my consultant says that it starts from January for me. So this is to explain the tax period and how it could apply to you. So Article 57 of the law defines what is a tax period, and it's your financial year mainly. So the law is simple, and the law doesn't make it complicated that your tax period and your financial year could be different, and then you have to do a very different set of calculation when it comes to doing the tax return. So your financial year is mainly your tax year. Now, because we are looking at a corporate tax law which is being implemented during our lifetimes, so whenever we have seen law in our homelands, it has always been there. So you see that you come within the tax period as soon as you register a company. But because in this scenario we have companies here already and the tax law is coming in, so the law had to come in a certain way. So this is the way they have opted to come in our lives, that the whatever your financial year is going to become your tax period, and the law applies from June 2023. As per the law, it's written in Article 69 that it applies and it commences from 1st June 2023. So if your financial year is June to May, then the law will apply to you from 1st June 2023. But if your financial year is Jan to December, the law is going to apply to you from Jan 2024. So that is why it could be different for somebody who has a company in June, July, August, somewhere in between, which we hardly see in the UAE market. And then it's different for a company which is Jan to December Gregorian financial calendar year. So excuse me. So this is so there is an example which I have recreated, and this is actually what FTA published last year, and these are the example which they have given, and I have just recreated them here. So for example, if you are April to March, April 2024 is where you start your first tax period. If you are Jan to December, 1st Jan is where you start your tax period. And if you are June to May, unfortunately, you start on June 2023. So you pay slightly more tax than the rest of the people, but this is how it is. So as your new financial year starts with after 1st June 2023, and that's how you start coming into the tax embed, and that's how your first tax period start coming into the picture for you. And Then 9 months after the closing of your financial year and tax period, which goes together, you will be filing for your first corporate tax return, which could be different as per the different timelines. Now, I do see there are a lot of questions, and we are just 9 minutes left for closing our session. I knew it's gonna take much more than 45 minutes. We can talk about, extending it further, but I don't want to make it very boring for everybody as well either. So I'll just close it on this point that now we have a corporate tax registration timeline, which was issued 2 days ago in the evening. And the law has defined several timelines here, and it goes by your licensing. If you ask me what is the timeline for me, I'll have to look at your license. And you could have more than one license. So the law doesn't say your main license or your branch license. The law say whichever is the earliest one, that timeline is going to apply for you. As a consultant, I can suggest you better register yourself by 31st May 2024 instead of looking for your own timelines. This is where I wanted to conclude today's session. And I'll just go through some of the questions we have. So we have a question from Imran, and he says that very basic is registration process same for free zone company and mainland company? Yes, the registration process is same, but if you qualify under the free zone benefits and you want to apply for the free zone benefits, and then it becomes slightly different after the registration when you go and file for the corporate tax. And it comes with an assessment from FTA. We don't know when, but you can have that. But for a basic corporate tax registration, there is no difference.
Thank you, ma'am.
So we have Mudassir Hamid is there. He has raised his hand, so I will open the queue for him.
Okay, sure.
Yes, Mudassir, please go ahead.
Hi, Mudassir. We cannot hear you, Mudassir. Um,
Hello, can you
Hi,
hear me?
Mudassir.
Yeah, we have three companies with different licenses. Which license we should consider for the corporate registration, because in the VAT we have the group VAT.
So, Mudassir, you have to register.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess they have put me on. You have to remove me from the group.
Sorry, I can't hear you. What are you saying?
I mean, if you can mute me, no offense, but yeah. So sorry, Mudassir, I had to mute you because my voice was echoing to myself. So the answer to your question is that for corporate tax registration, you have to register each and every company separately, and only then you will apply for a tax group registration eventually down the line. But when it comes to several licenses, I assume these are different companies. And even though I know you might want to group them, but you have to first register them separately.
Okay, thank you. Clear. Thank you so much.
Do we have more people, Kalim, or I just take some more questions from the chat?
Yeah, we have a lot of questions in the chat, so I think even if you answer a few of them.
Okay, so another question from Infusion Consultancy is that, is the option available now in Imara Tax Portal for offshore and free zone company, the owner of which is offshore? So I myself have not registered some company yet, which is a non-resident company. I guess that's what you're talking about. So the law talks about resident or a non-resident company. A resident company can have a branch in the UAE, and that's where you might have to register the non-resident company and not the branch. That's a requirement of the law. And I guess that's where the question is coming from. In that case, you can register the non-resident company for its branch income. Another question from Nasif. What is the tax rate applicable for unincorporated partnership as per Article 16 of the federal tax law? So the tax rate is still the same, but it goes without saying that it's a pass-through until unless, because it's an unincorporated partnership, so you don't have a company itself, so it's gonna pass through to you or to whoever are the partners, and then you're gonna look at the taxability in your hand or in the other partner's hand unless you opt to tax the unincorporated partnership. There are ways defined in the law that how you can apply and opt apply. You will have to apply to the FTA through an application, and they might accept or reject it, and then you will be then filing for the unincorporated partnership itself as a taxable person. Other than that, but it's still going to be 9%, other than the pillar 2 implications which you could be having if you are a part of a multinational group. Another question is from Hamad. What corporate law abides on double tax treaties for income generated outside UAE? So Hamad, it's a different Pandora box though, but I'll just give you a simple answer to this, that there are tax credits allowed, but if you are a UAE based local company registered within the UAE, then you will be subject to tax in the UAE for your worldwide income. But if you're paying tax in another jurisdiction, then there are benefits of the law allows you to take some tax credit. It's subject to conditions of double tax treaty. The lowest rate can be taken as a tax credit.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Another question is about small business relief. We will be discussing small business relief in a separate session itself, so I'm gonna skip that. How we can get this notes which you present here? We will be posting these. Sorry for reading it in a very bad manner though. So we'll be posting the videos, and if you guys insist, we can share the presentations with you through the data we could be having on the Badr Saleh portal for your email addresses if we have the data. Otherwise, you can approach me and I can share these presentations with you. I don't mind that.
So we have a question from Mr. Salih Khan. So he says that, hi, apparently registration is for all companies now.
Yes. Yeah, I guess he's saying that, yes, it's required for all. If you have to, if you are subject to corporate tax in the UAE, like, as I said, for the natural person, you could be not subject to corporate tax, then you don't have to register. But in any other case, if you are a mainland company or a free zone company, every company have to register for corporate tax. And yes, it's open for all companies now. And there is even a timeline, which is not too long anymore. So you should be opening your Imara tax portal for doing a registration of corporate tax. I'll just take one more last question. Is 375,000, Imran says, is 375,000 bracket applicable for both mainland and free zone? So Imran, yes and no. So yes, if you are a free zone, but you are not a qualifying free zone person, or you are a qualifying free zone person, and you don't have a qualifying income, or you opt to not take the benefit of free zone, just treat yourself as another mainland company, then you can have the benefit. But if not, and you opt to take the qualifying free zone benefit, and you have a qualifying income subject to the conditions you could be facing, then the 375,000 bracket will not apply. So I guess that's all. We will close on time. You can drop me more questions if you have. I'll be also looking forward to any suggestions if you have, in addition to my list of discussions we're gonna have eventually over the period of time, which is this. And thank you all for joining in.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sama.
Thank you.
Session for everybody. I know because of the time constraint and for most of the people, this is these are working hours as well. So we wanted to make it as much valuable as possible for everybody. And if you have any kind of questions, so here we have shared in the chat box, we have shared in the link. Please do drop us your questions, and we will definitely be getting back to you. First of all, thank you so much for a wonderful full participation. We have crossed almost 100 participants in this session, and hopefully from next session onwards, we'll be seeing more participation, and we'll be able to respond to more of your questions. Once again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Unfortunately, we cannot take more time, and we have to close this session. But looking forward to see you same time next Thursday, and hopefully we'll be coming up with another interesting topic. Thank you so much, and we will be closing the session now.